Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to some, yay, 38th parallel. In a battle from the 28th of March, when I was trying to fully spade out my CA Lorraine for the research completion bonus more than anything. Also, it's a speedy little, relatively low-profile tank destroyer with a capable gun for actually highest tier tank battles, so it's not really that crazy of a vehicle to use, particularly if you can bush it up like I did. And it's got the speed to get around the battlefield pretty quickly, and it gets me to the B point here fast enough to get in on the capture and not really be threatened. Not to really spoil anything or not, but you'll see in a moment. I mean, this thing can really fly. Now, I've got it nearly spaded out here. Not quite yet. But you can see it's certainly capable of moving pretty quickly and almost capable of making it through that gate without breaking it and getting completely slowed down. Even so, even with clipping the walls of the gate there, I was still able to make it into the capture point very early and take the cap without really being threatened. So initially I pulled back out of the cap to allow my two friends coming up behind me to get in on the capture, but as they both went up over the hill towards the A point, there wasn't really much point in waiting any longer, so I drove back into the cap and capped it out. Now, it's also possible that there were no enemies that came this way, although someone was certainly shooting artillery at me. So as we got near the end of the cap, I lined up for a quick escape, and then dashed the heck back out of there to run back towards the A point after finishing the capture. So, like I said, the CA Lorraine is quite a mobile little tank destroyer. I mean, it's got a 100mm gun with a pretty decent penetrating, solid shot APC-BC round. It's not bad at all. So the two guys didn't actually go to A, they went up on top of that hill there, and as somebody is sounding like they're pretty near her, I was going to go up this hill diagonally, but then as I'm coming up, there's that big rock in the middle, and I was afraid I would get beached on it, so I tried to go straight up, which of course isn't going to work. You've got to take the hill at an angle, but that's why I didn't take it at an angle and went straight up instead. So I pull up to the A point, which is now being captured by somebody, trying to sweep the area and see where they're coming from. Can't quite make out where they are. And drove into the point to stop them from capturing. And then started taking the A point. Now, I've got those two teammates up above me on the sniper ridge at A, so I'm feeling fairly confident that that approach is covered. So I'm going to go investigate up towards the river as I hear shots going off and see someone get marked up there. So there's some sort of a tank destroyer up here getting marked, and that's what I'm on the hunt for. Took a hit that started me on fire, decided I'm just going to continue down into the river. Get under cover, get hidden, line up, extinguish the fire, take a shot right there from an M56 right next to me. Search around behind me while I'm switching out my gunner. Spot another enemy over there underneath the bridge. Reverse away from the M56, get my gunner back, line up on the M56, get a good kill shot on him, and then as I'm trying to swing the tank over to deal with the guy that was under the bridge, a second tank hits me from just across the river. I mean, there were 4 or 5 enemies surrounding me there. Thankfully, he got knocked out, and I did have a warning that there was a Type 60 behind me from a teammate, but it didn't really matter with the completely surrounded position I was in. But still, I do appreciate the warning. At least somebody was typing and communicating on the team, so... As I come back in with my fully loaded out 84, asking for somebody to mark that Type 60 because I'd really like to fire off all 24 of my rockets at him. And the other target that I knew of, which was the T-29 that had killed me, had been killed right after he'd killed me. So I didn't really have a target specifically that I knew of. So just kind of looking for anything moving, and there we see our friend, the Type 60. Right as I start unloading with the rockets, he gets killed, which was fine, just sort of a waste of rockets. And then what do I see flying overhead but a B-17 of all things? Well, I think my 20mm cannons should be able to deal with him fairly well. So as I'm trying to laboriously turn to get back on his tail, fired off my 4 rockets I had left, fired them a bit short, and then lined up for the cannon run on him. Got some pretty good hits into him and try to roll away and of course get set on fire, which immediately damages my wings like nobody's business. Because it's a 50 cal, why wouldn't it completely and utterly wreck my aircraft with one hit? But at least I did take him out with the wing damage I did and the fire that I started on him, and his wing blew off as well, so... got an air kill, I guess. Now, based on the team makeup at the time, I came back in my SPAA. Also, I was trying to get some more modifications for my AMX-30 DCA. And there's a marker for an enemy aircraft. I pick him up. He is way, way, way high up there. So I'm trying to line up on what he is. I can't quite make out what kind of aircraft he is. So I'm just trying to put rounds up at him to draw his attention and either chase him away or get him to come down on a strafing run at us. And as you can see, he's pretty much unfazed by my efforts. So, judging by his altitude and his trajectory here, I'm pretty sure this guy is heading to camp our air spawn. Because that's what people like to do. So, I warned the team, let them know that if you're going to spawn an aircraft, make sure you dive down towards our friendly SPAA, which we're kind of all over the place right here, as quickly as you possibly can. And we should be able to take the dude out before he can get on you. And now it looks like he's just orbiting up there, circling around. And I don't really have a lot of love for people who sit above the air spawn or sit above the ground spawn either, so... got no problems with calling the guy a real scumbag for doing that up, hanging out over the air spawn. Now, it looks like he's just orbiting up there, just waiting for anybody to spawn in air. And I'm just hoping that he comes close enough to actually get some shots at him. Obviously, he's up there pretty high and really isn't worried about our anti-air efforts. Now you can hear a wyvern go over, and that's a bit of an issue. Although I'm still concentrating on this guy. Obviously my shots are not even going to get near him. However, as the enemy team's tickets are steadily bleeding away, I'm just can't help but let the guy know that, you know, he's really helping his team out up there. He finally drifts back within range for me to start shooting at him again, although, again, my shots are quite clearly not getting up anywhere near where I need them to get to. And then a teammate shows up in a BF-109K and is now going to go chase after this guy. And here's where what's been going on will suddenly become apparent to all of us. So when Dr. Strange in his BF-109K finally closes in on the guy who's, for some reason, not really maneuvering at all, and when he takes him out, watch the kill feed. Attention to the map. So now that I look over at the kill feed after I congratulate him on his kill on the probable air spawn raper up there, it turns out that it wasn't actually a real aircraft. It was one of those weird AI, like, background things. The all-gray airplane that's not really there. Attention to the map. That's not really a player. It's not an AI player either. And if I remember, when this video goes public, if I haven't done so by the time you see it, I will pin a link to a video that Dita put out that had one of these gray, not really rendered in, sort of polygon looking airplanes that really looks like a Star Fox polygon. And he used that as, I think it was Dita, I'm pretty sure it was Dita, used it as a one of his wins and fails cover thumbnail video, or rather video thumbnails on YouTube, so. Quite a good hit on the KI-84 there by my fellow AMX-30 DCA. Now the big problem with that little AI fake aircraft thing was that it kept us from moving out into the greater battle and potentially stopping the enemy from, say, capturing the A point away from us, or, you know, doing other things here, which ultimately sort of has an impact on the battle. So I fired my guns empty just to reload them there. And then I'm trying to decide, do I want to go and directly try to stop them at A, or indirectly just go defend B? Well, B is protected and we're losing A, so I guess I'm going to go to A. Unfortunately, I've got to wait for the full minute-long reload here, but thankfully, as I've said before in other videos, the AMX-30 does carry spare ammunition rounds with it, so you can reload directly rather than having to shoot your guns empty and then go acquire more ammo and then load more ammo. So at least you can reload while you're on the move and then get into a capture point and refresh your ammo while you're inside there. So I'm safely hidden behind this rock. I can see the enemy that just finished capturing A. And while I wait to finish up my reload and then get caught on a rock a little bit, I'm going to back up and get caught on the rock again. And then finally, ultimately, get around the rock and move into the A point to start decapping it. Or at least so I thought, until I discovered there was an enemy right behind the rock where I was. I'm able to knock out his radiator, which didn't really do much to him. He deploys his smoke, and now I've got to hopefully rush past him. It seems like it was an STRV. So I'm going to try to rush around him and close in on him and take him out with my 30mm cannons, and it turns out that he was taken out by a teammate in a Tiger 2H, which I was totally okay with. So we had a T-29 or a T-34 in sight who was off that way across that bridge, so I fired my smoke there to not give him a clean shot at me while I captured the A point back. Now we've just lost a friendly SPAA here. I'm not entirely sure where it came from or what it was. I take a hit that I can't tell where it came from, and at least finish up the capture as I'm trying to get the heck back out of Dodge and get back to someplace slightly more protected. Now I take another hit from someone behind me and then get killed by the T-29 that I had seen before, who had climbed up the hill and is now overwatching A. And with that, it was Cerbese time. So our team has captured out the C point to equal out the ticket bleed. We're still in decent looking shape, although we're a bit thin on teammates here. And there was a T-95 marked somewhere. We knew there was a T-95 who just took somebody out, and I'm trying to find out where he is because I've got a gun that can relatively easily deal with a T-95. It's called out that he's somewhere near A, and I'm trying to make my way there to hopefully help deal with him. My random squad mate in the AMX-30 DCA takes out an M41 at A, so that's good. You can see a heavy now being marked, and I'm trying to move up there and deal with it. It's not a T-95, it's a T-29, and I killed him for a revenge kill, as well as taking out the heavy that's there. Turns out he's not the only heavy tank at A, though. Little did I know at the time. So there you can see an SPAA getting marked, as well as an SPG on the A point, and also a T-34 that I had no idea was there, because my teammates that were at A didn't do any marking or anything.
We don't have the advantage anymore.
And as you can see, my breach repair is not going to happen at all quickly, or at all during the time it's going to take me to be obscured by smoke. My smoke screen is not going to last as long as my repair is going to take, so... Swung the gun at the T-34, who apparently was a bit frightened, and then tried to shoot through the tent, which didn't work, thankfully. And then my breach suddenly repairs because my squad mate showed up to help me repair. I got a nice shot into the T-34, which took out most of his crew, however, not enough. And then the T-34 gets completely saved by an M46, who unfortunately didn't continue driving forward like I thought he was going to. So I was unable to get a real good follow-up shot into him. The other shot I did get into him took out quite a bunch of his crew as well, but he was saved by a Wyvern. So I got a couple of really good hits into two different tanks today, but was unable to finish either one of them off, unfortunately. And then it was time to come back in the AMX-30 1972, which was still, as you can see, pretty early on in its lifetime without a whole lot of modifications accomplished. Now, Leodamo took out the Wyvern that bombed me, which was good because we did not want him to get home and rearm and come back. Wyvern is a pretty dangerous CAS asset. And there's still an M46 and a T-34 at A, as far as I know. So I'm trying to follow my squad mate in the Foch here. Wherever he goes, I'm going to go. And they are now taking away our only cap, which is the C point, which is all the way on the opposite side of the map from us. So things are starting to look a little grim here for our team. But we're not going to give up. We're going to keep fighting. We're French. We shall never surrender. I mean, the modern French don't, and that's what we are.
We no longer have the advantage.
So they've taken the C point away from us just as my squad mate and I arrive at the B point to recapture that. We've got a pair of friendly aircraft overhead and a pair of us tanks on the ground as we take a rocket strafing run. However, it seems that there aren't any tanks too close to us, although obviously someone is close enough to fire artillery. So I backed away from the AMX-50 Foch as quickly as I could to spread us out so we couldn't get both killed in one bomb run. And it seems like we're getting strafed out by a different Wyvern here. Who gets taken out by Leodamo again, this time in his F6F. Good man, that Leodamo. Very capable fighter pilot. Someday he'll probably have his own Battlestar to command. If he could just stop crashing. I believe he was pressing his strafing attacks pretty tight to work on people. Now you can see an SPG get marked in the river, and it's the T-95 who's talking about in chat that his T-95 was on his way to B, and that, damn it, those were my tracks again. So that's who had just gotten hit there. It was a T-95 down in the water, and our F6, F5 had knocked him out. Knocked out his tracks, rather. I come around the corner just a little too late to get a shot into that M18 with my unstabilized gun. However, the M18 then came nicely around into the open, and I was able to blast him one with my heat rounds. and spotted another enemy across the river that I had seen as I was lining up in the M18. Just barely got the gun stabilized in time to take out his cannon breech. Unfortunately, he had plenty of time to get a shot into me as well, and as I'm capturing the A point, I decide to repair. And the enemy tank that had hit me was able to get back behind cover as a different enemy tank destroyer comes in from the B point and knocks me out at A before I can finish the capture. And that, unfortunately, is pretty much going to seal the deal on the defeat here in this battle. As I'm trying to hurry back to the battle here, the tickets finally run out, and like I said in the chat, what a fight. It was actually a fun battle despite the loss. And I do appreciate when we have a good long fight like that actually, win or lose, at least it was an enjoyable fight. I did just barely manage parity on the kill-to-death ratio for the battle. Did get a decent amount of research for everything that I drove or flew there. Even the Sorbese got a little bit of research. And managed to get 5 kills against my 5 deaths. But I also had 4 captures, which was the it just wouldn't end part of this fight. They just kept recapturing the points after I would capture them, and it was back and forth and back and forth. It was a good fight. I hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you all next time for more War Thunder. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.